A very good morning to you, Desiree, as we continue to monitor the votes, the results rather, as they continue to slowly trickle in. In KwaZulu-Natal, current updates indicate that there was a lower vote turnout, but we will be keeping track of that as the day progresses. But just to get a feel of how the entire counting process is happening, I have with me Mawe to Mozuri to give us an update in terms of how everything is happening here in KZN. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having us, and we're pretty satisfied with what we're doing so far.
Give us an update in terms of the counting process. I understand that earlier on we had attempted to go closer to the City Hall, but we were told it's gridlocked because the counting is in session. We can't go anywhere near it. Just give us a sense of how's the counting process happening, because we understand that in different parts it's relatively stagnant. There's a slow start. Was this an impact of all what we saw yesterday? Some voting stations not opening on time, some not opening at all?
Well, we have the results for most of our voting stations in KwaZulu-Natal, and we have those in our offices now in the various municipalities. However, in eThekwini we had voting stations, about 300 of them, which completed the voting process at about 1 a.m. this morning, and it's largely your voting stations that have a very high number of voters, like the Durban City Hall and a few in Umlazi, as well as the area of Kitomeno where there was voting until very late. So the counting there began at around 3 a.m. and it will continue probably until about midday. The estimation in these venues is around 5,000 or so voters that arrived to vote, and you have both those who are on the roll there and those who came with it through the Section 24A process. So the counting process is basically remaining in a few very big stations in eThekwini area, but everywhere else in the province we now have the results.
Yesterday's challenges, did they have any impact in starting the counting process?
Not really, in exception for voting stations where voting was still taking place, but everywhere else we started with the count on time around 9:30 p.m. or at 10 p.m. last night, and it continued until the early hours. But there's obviously the added time frame of transporting the results, especially in our rural voting stations, the distances and elements of managing fatigue. We've been very strict about the driving as well as the security that is attached to transporting these results to our municipal offices. But we are satisfied now that we have most of the results in our possession. We've started the process of capturing them. We've already authenticated just about 10% of the results in the province, but working with the audit process, we will continue to release results of the province.
Sorry, just to go back a bit, speaking about voting stations, the challenges, of course, and we understand that there were quite a few that ended up not operating at all, and voters in those particular areas were deprived of their democratic right to vote. Does the IEC accommodate them? What are the chances of them being accommodated at all?
Well, we did open all voting stations in the province. The 5 that opened very late in the day at around 1600 hours were the 4 in Bergville and the 1 in Dr. Langalibalele municipality. And all of those operated until 9 p.m. And we hope that those who actually wanted to vote did vote. And hopefully there are none that we left out because they had been intimidated and other. But certainly those areas require our attention in terms of promoting democracy in them and making them appreciate the electoral process. Where we are today, we can't give them an opportunity. The process has run its course. It's completed in terms of those areas.
So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
That was, of course, Mawe to Mozuri giving us an update as far as KwaZulu-Natal's results count is going. He's saying that they're quite satisfied for now. They have a majority of the votes in their possession, and he has just given us clarity in terms of the voting station, because we understand that during yesterday's election day. KwaZulu-Natal was one province that was engulfed with some challenges from various voting stations, but it's just assured us that everyone who actually wanted to vote actually did have access to vote regardless of the challenges. We will be continuing to monitor the vote count as the day goes along. It's back to you in studio.
Usibonga konke Mbatha there from KZN. Let's continue.